Hey folks, here at OS Reviews and OS Tech News. You're watching our tech battle crunch between two operating systems today. Up here we have Samsung's own proprietary Bada operating system up against LG's proprietary LG S-Class 3D user interface. Both devices are produced and manufactured solely by their respective manufacturers, LG and Samsung, and both devices offer these proprietary operating systems as a response and competitor to Android and Windows and iOS out there. Both of these platforms are very similar to smartphone platforms, and essentially they do the same things as iOS or Android really does, but perhaps in a slightly different skin and optimized manner. Taking a look at both devices, we're going to start with the lock screen first. The lock screens on both devices are slightly different. With the S-Class 3 interface, you have a slide up to unlock with some notifications and time and date information from the main menu. What's also interesting about the main lock screen here is that there are simple gestures you can press, like a circular icon to take you to direct settings and direct applications like that would correspond to the calendar view in this case for the LG S-Class 3D interface. But with the Samsung Bada operating system, we can't do that. But it's very similar to their Android counterpart where we just simply slide to unlock. There's also time and date information, but no notifications from the main menu. Taking a look at the main operating screen of the Samsung Bada operating system, it composes of some simple screens, including 5 home screens that you can populate with your own widgets and applications, very similar to Android, and you can also customize these to add your different applications as well. And it's a pretty easy and intuitive way to add applications is to add the widget icon and then drag and drop these applications from the bottom. You can download more from the marketplace store that's included. On the LG S-Class 3D interface, it's a little bit different. There are widget support, but you can only add widgets to one page out of the different pages, the 4 pages. The rest of them are separate. Like this is the one for the contacts with the carousel view. This is the one with the widgets, which you can populate with widgets that you can get, and then drag and drop by holding them down longer and adding more on the bottom. There's also one, of course, separate ones dedicated for applications and so on and so forth. So the Samsung Bada operating system is more similar to Android than the S-Class 3D interface is. And also S-Class 3D interface has the cube, hence the 3D name, for you to view all your different pages, which is a fancy animation but slows down the processing speed of the handset. That comes to the processing speed of both devices. As far as day-to-day usage, we found that Samsung Bada's operating system was more responsive in Lucid in the main menu, although LG's device was a bit more faster in the web browsing department and viewing multimedia content. In terms of the day-to-day usage, like the wallpaper in the wall screens and changing the home screens, LG's device was a little bit more sluggish, as you can expect, than Samsung's. Taking a look at the Samsung device, pressing the home center key takes you to the main menu, which is composed of just a list of applications, very similar to the iOS screen instead of your widgets like we saw from the home screen. And this is very similar to their Android counterpart as well, and you can also populate these and edit these around by adding different icons and downloading more from the App Store. The same can be said on the LG counterpart. However, instead of having different sliding screens, you have only one screen, and then you can slide through different categories such as entertainment, utilities, and settings. If you want to see a list of all your different applications, you slide the phone on the side, and then let's try it this way, and then the accelerometer will kick in and you have access to all your different icons in a more candy-like style. But unfortunately, you can't install more applications from the main menu because there isn't the ability to add more icons in the system, which is unfortunate. So in terms of versatility, Samsung's device definitely wins out. In terms of the web browsing experience, both devices offers pinch to zoom support, so both are pretty decent in that aspect, and both of them also offers this drop-down notification support for different notifications and also your Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and GPS, and the same thing can be said about on LG's device, and both kind of take this from the Android version that we've seen in terms of the coding. Otherwise, again, taking a look at the dial pad from both devices, very similar as well. They offer nice large buttons that you can press, and recent histories and search bars that you can also come up. Kinetic scrolling is working on both devices. You can see how LG's device uses soft keys that's built on screen versus the Samsung Bada operating system, which actually uses physical buttons on the bottom for you to actually go and navigate the device overall. There are also a few dedicated Google services built in onto the Samsung device, whereas the LG S-Class 3D interface only has some basic Google Maps services and not as many built-in clients such as Gmail and also YouTube support. Speaking of, both devices also don't offer direct applications. Like they don't offer mobile applications of Gmail and Maps and Google Search. Instead, by pressing something like YouTube or Gmail, it takes you directly to a link into the web browsing page to the gmail.com. However, we found that it was surprisingly works surprisingly well on the Samsung device. For example, if we press on the mail, it's actually going to take me to my mail page. And vice versa, if I press on the maps, it's going to actually take me onto the map, Google Maps, loading that onto that page, and it works pretty well. And for the most part, some of these apps are also run on Java, but overall, it's a pretty impressive experience. And we found that the web browser were actually also pretty optimized and pretty powerful on both units, surprisingly, even though sometimes they were a little bit sluggish and difficult to operate in terms of watching too heavy content with Flash. For the most part, the web browsers handled simple applications and mobile sites very, very well, sometimes even better than Android. For example, on an Android smartphone, if I launched the mobile version of Gmail, sometimes the page would just not load. But on these phones, whenever I launch the mobile version of Gmail, both of them will load and will load pretty fast. As far as the web browser is concerned, Samsung has done a better job overall. Their web browser is a little bit more optimized and easier to use, and pages tend to load a little bit faster than on LG's version. Also, Samsung's device offers a little bit better optimization, and also pinch to zoom gestures in the web browser are a little bit more lucid and fast than on LG's device. Otherwise, again, the phones offer about similar functionality. There's multitasking support on the LG device that's lacking on the Samsung Bada, but they're pretty much even in terms of application support, as you can see here. Taking a quick look at the application drawer again, of course, it supports these galleries. Some specific Gmail supports are here as well, and basic organizing functions. So when it comes down to it, LG's S-Class 3D interface and also Samsung's Bada operating system are both unique interfaces, with the Bada being a merge between Android and, I like to say, Windows, with both a nice level of productivity and organization, like iOS perhaps, and also some widget support like on Android, whereas S-Class 3D interface is more fancy and eye-catching, but ultimately not as useful. Still, both devices are a nice stab by the manufacturers to create something unique that we haven't seen before, and ultimately we think that Samsung's Bada operating system is a little bit more polished and ready for the prime times than LG's S-Class 3D interface is at the present. Thanks for watching this price fight video comparison between the LG S-Class 3D interface and also the Samsung Bada operating system.